Hey guys, today's video, I'm going to talk about an issue that seems to be pretty common whenever a player swaps out their pistol grip on their T15. Now, whether or not you swapped out with a real steel pistol grip, an airsoft AEG pistol grip, or an airsoft GBB pistol grip, the same issue is there. All right, tooling wise, what are you going to need? You're going to need a 3/16 Allen key to remove your pistol grip, but of course you know that because you've swapped it out already. I'm using a size 2 metric Allen key for these two black screws, which I'll explain about a little bit later on, along with these two metal washers or spacers, and this size 6 O-ring. And lastly, believe it or not, you're going to need some crazy glue. All right, so let's pretend we're at the field. We've just swapped out our pistol grip at home before we came to play. We're going to go and get our marker prepped for play. So we're going to cock the handle to cock the marker. We're going to screw in our air supply. All around the pistol grip. All right, I'm going to explain to you what happened and what the fix is going to be. You can grab your 3/16 Allen key. We're going to remove that pistol grip. Don't forget, when you remove that pistol grip, keep an eye out for the spring, the selector switch spring. You don't want to lose that guy. It'd be a real pain if you do. All right, I think that's it. So we're going to remove our grip, grab our spring, set those guys aside. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not yet, but beside the screw hole for your pistol grip is an airway plug. And that airway plug has been popped out by the pressure from the tank when you screwed it in. Now, why did that happen? Basically what happened was on your pistol grip, there's this little ledge on the inside that's supposed to rest against this ledge on the lower receiver. Now, I've seen this happen more often with the airsoft AEG grips because the configuration inside this grip is different to accommodate the motors that AEGs need to make their markers work. So these two ledges tend to have a bigger gap between them, which will allow that plug to pop out. It still happens with GBB grips, and it still happens with a couple of the real steel ones, but it's less likely. All right, so what's the fix? Well, we're going to remove this plug, and you have different options. The center hole is threaded, so one option, depending on how big your gap is, and as a little hint, to know how much gap you have as much gap as that plug popped out. So you want to try to fill at least half of that gap so that the O-ring doesn't pass the lower receiver body metal part and start spewing air, okay? So like I was just saying, the center of this guy is threaded. You can use, potentially if you need it, because if you have that much of a gap, small screws. Now these are metric screws, not, I believe, the imperial screw that this is threaded with, but it's still usable because you can catch a couple threads to make that screw sit snug, just like that. You reinstall it, and that's how much gap you're going to protect against, or basically push against. To me, that's a little bit extreme for what I have here. Another option I have used in the past with different grips are these metal rings. Now, these metal rings can sit on top as well, and that's where the crazy glue comes into play. You place your ring on top of your plug, a couple drops of crazy glue on either side just to hold it in place, and again, you're going to be good to go for that much space of shim, I guess you can say. Now, myself seem to have the most success, believe it or not, using this size 6 O-ring. All right. Now, another side note, there are different sized airway plugs for different generations T15. This one happens to have a small plug. I've seen other ones that were 2 or 3 millimeters more in diameter, so you can use a larger sized O-ring like a size 7 or 8 to do the same thing I'm about to show you now. Okay. So same as the metal shims that I've used over here, these guys, take a couple dabs of crazy glue. Don't need tons, just enough to be able to hold that O-ring in place. And by the time you install everything back, that crazy glue should be dry enough to hold everything into place. Okay, so I basically have done that with the O-ring. I've glued it to the bottom of the plug. Now, just before I put it away, I'm going to make sure that O-ring is nice and moist with oil, because you want to make sure that guy is going to seal nice. We're going to plug it back in to the lower receiver. push that guy in. And that's roughly how much gap I'm going to take away from the plug popping out. All right. Now we're going to reinstall our grip. Don't forget the selector switch spring. Put that into your grip. And then make sure it goes into where your little detent is for your selector switch. Just don't lose it like that and have to start all over. All right. Push down on your grip. Put things back together. And of course, make sure things are nice and snug. All right. Close that guy up. I'm just going to decock the marker for argument's sake because I want to make sure it's cocked again. We're going to grab our air supply, screw it back in, and voila. It works. No more air leak, and you're good to go. As always, guys, hopefully this helps out. If you have any problems, questions, or concerns, as always, shoot me a PM, post a comment, and yeah, cheers, guys.